India may be prepared to offer limited access through tariff cuts and quotas on some select agricultural products. But there are some other contentious sticking points as well, aren't there, Abhijit? Not least of all, auto components and steel. How are the negotiators going to get round those areas?
Certainly, these two areas of auto and steel are highly contentious. I would think that auto perhaps is more problematic given the fact that the auto industry in India contributes almost 50% of the manufacturing value added. So I don't see a possibility whereby India opens up its automobile market for the US exports. What might happen, as Parikshit said earlier, is that India might consider very small quantities within which it might allow imports from US. But again, these quotas would have to be for high-end automobiles, certainly not for smaller and mid-range cars. That I don't think is likely to happen.
Do you think that conversation is going to be even more challenging, given that barely 2 days ago India proposed retaliatory tariffs, retaliatory duties at the WTO against US tariffs on vehicles?
Let's bear in mind that what India has done at the WTO is to preserve its rights to retaliate against the US, both in steel and auto sector in the future. It is not an automatic process whereby India will retaliate. Under the WTO rules, there are very clearly specified deadlines. If you miss those deadlines, then you cannot retaliate. So India has merely preserved its right to retaliate, and I think this should enhance India's leverage in the WTO negotiations with US.
There's clearly a lot of hard bargaining going on, Abhijit, and India clearly has marked itself out as no pushover. In fact, the negotiators have laid down these red lines surrounding agriculture. Piyush Goyal has said that they will not be swayed by deadline-driven diktats, and the national interest will be paramount. Is there a risk that both sides could just call it quits and walk away from the negotiating table, for now at least?
If the two sides continue with their entrenched positions, with their deep red lines and show little flexibility, then yes, that risk certainly is there. But overall, I think the two sides are pragmatic. They may want to show flexibility. And let's also bear in mind that President Trump would be very keen to announce a deal. So that might compel both the countries to move ahead in a spirit of cooperation and optimism that a deal would be possible. So if I were a betting person, I would say that possibility of a deal may be higher than the two sides walking off the negotiating table.